Hey guys, Adam here. Welcome to another episode of On the Couch Rewind. And continuing our closer anticipation to X-Men Days of Future Past, I will be talking about X3, The Last Stand. So this would be considered the dark days of the X-Men franchise, or at least the beginning of it, because we have another movie that would be considered the dark days of X-Men. Anyway, the plot is a pharmaceutical company has found a way to cure the mutant disease. Meanwhile, Jean Grey has come back from the grave, having been taken over by the personality of the Phoenix. Also, Magneto has gathered an army of mutants to try and destroy humankind, waging war on them, and destroy the cure. And now has also teamed up with Phoenix. Will the X-Men be able to stop them? We all know the plot. We all know what the ending is. The X-Men win. I don't hate this movie, but I don't love it either. And surprisingly as well, this is the most comic booky of the entire series. I'm not even kidding. This is very much like I shouldn't say, well, in terms of tone it's not. But it does feel like a comic book, which might also be the reason why it hurts it so much. Because and don't get me wrong, I don't mind something that feels like a movie that feels like a comic book. But when you also have the first two movies, which are very much grounded in reality to an extent, this movie doesn't feel like it, and it feels like a huge tonal shift. Which, again, kind of hurts it. Not saying any of the performances are bad, because they're actually really good. But I also have a question about something. Where the fuck did the $210 million budget go to in this movie? Because half the special effects are horrible. I'm not even kidding. Like, even some of the camera work isn't very good either. The sets aren't very good either. It's very evident. I mean, it really feels more like an HBO TV show than it does an actual big budget movie. So I'm curious as to where half the budget went. Yeah, I mean, it's not that good. It's not horrible. It's not bad. It's just not good. It's not great. It's a huge. It's like they went high, really high on X2, and then Fox just knocked it right back down to even below the production value of the first one. It's kind of distracting when you see like camera angles of like Angel flying away, and it feels, and you're looking, and the way it's shot and the way he's flying, it's like you're looking really hard for the wires on his wings. That's how cheap it looks. But it's also very evident that it was rushed, because I even looked at the production notes. It was rushed. And it feels rushed. I mean, the performances are really good. The story is not. It feels like they got this done in a couple. It felt like they were working on the first draft in a couple of months. And if I'm trying to remember, I think actually, you know what? I think they were still working on the script when this movie was already shooting, or it could be another one. I don't remember. But it's very evident here. This was meant to cash in on X2, and they wanted it out as soon as possible. Not necessarily a good idea, Fox. I will say, and I will say this though. It was nice to see a bunch of other mutants and showcasing the powers. But at the same time, they're seriously downplayed. There really isn't, unless in this movie really, unless you're Wolverine, you don't get a moment to shine. I mean, you really don't. Even some of the mutants that were introduced get downplayed to almost cameos. That is how downplayed they are, just for Wolverine. Whereas Wolverine did get a lot of moments to shine in the last movie, they at least gave other mutants room to have their moments to shine. Half the mutants die, or at least the ones that we really cared about. Cyclops dies in the first 5 minutes. Jean Grey dies at the end. Professor X dies. And it feels like this, and yeah, a lot of people complain about all the X-Men movies being nothing more than Wolverine and the X-Men. This is the one movie where I agree with them on. This is Wolverine and the X-Men. But even then, while yes, Wolverine does gets more screen time than anybody else, even he feels downplayed. Even he feels like he's not given enough to do. Which is sad, because when he infiltrates the Brotherhood camp, you expect him to really start killing people like he did in the last movie, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like they only were given the Force for a couple of days and they had to get it done in a very short amount of time. Whereas in X2, he was killing motherfuckers. And they took their time with it to get it right. Here it just felt really, really rushed. And I also gotta say this, there are a lot of wire works in this. There are like a shit ton of mutants who jump. Like these guys like know how to jump. Like they're all Toad all of a sudden. There is a lot of wire works, and it's very evident, very obvious where the wire with the wire works. I mean, a Jackie Chan movie didn't have this much wire works put into it. But yeah, like I said, the performances are good. Hugh Jackman's still great as Wolverine. Halle Berry's a little better. It's nice to see Shawn Ashmore given more to do as Iceman, and really Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde is one of the best casting choices, and for a comic book movie I've seen in a while. In terms of casting somebody, because like before that she was just cameos, and it was like each time it was a different actress. Here they actually got someone perfect. Kelsey Grammer as Beast that was a role that I had to grow into for a while. Because I never really imagined him as, like, I always imagined Beast looking animalistic, but when he opened his mouth, it was very evident that he was an intelligent person. Here, it just looked like they slapped some blue makeup and a blue wig on, and there's Beast, and there's Beast. And yeah, it's very evident that that's what they did. But the more I watch it, the more I realize Kelsey Grammer is a really good Beast. He's excellent as Beast, and I'm glad for that. I'm happy he was cast as Beast, really. Ben Foster as Angel. Talk about piss poor marketing, because he was marketed. I mean, I had a problem with Colossus being marketed as possibly a main character in the last movie. He was a main character in the second movie compared to how Angel was treated in this one. Angel had maybe 3 lines in the movie, and he had no importance. Take him out of the movie, and and you wouldn't even know he was even in this movie at all. The only reason why he was in this movie is because his dad was the one who funded the cure. That was the only reason why. And it's just insulting because Angel is a good character, especially when the Apocalypse storyline comes along, which I hope he comes back. I'm hoping Angel comes back. Again, and like I said, talk about serious downplay on characters. Rogue is another one. Rogue was hilariously downplayed. Just really hilariously downplayed to, again, no reason for her to be in it. There was none at all. I mean, this was a Wolverine movie, really. This really was, and I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but again, that's all this movie was Wolverine and the X-Men. I don't hate this movie. I really don't, because like I said, really, the strongest thing about this movie is the performances. Everything else, though, is seriously cut down in half. And this is a $210 million budget. I'm still trying to figure out where half that money went. I don't even know if I want to talk any more about this. It really does kind of hurt. I don't hate this movie. I really don't. Especially when you got such good casting choices, such good actors playing these roles. But even then, it doesn't keep you from noticing all the other problems. Especially when the performances are also another one of the problems, because they're so downplayed. They're just knocked down to cameos just to save room for Wolverine. You can't do that for an ensemble movie. Everyone's got to have a moment to shine. That's where, despite people's complaints, Bryan Singer knew how to do. Bryan Singer knew how to make an ensemble movie. The Usual Suspects is a perfect example of that. X-Men is a good example. X2 is an amazing example of that. He knows how to do that. Brett Ratner doesn't. He doesn't understand how to make an ensemble movie. And it hurts this. It really hurts this. With that said, I give X3, The Last Stand, a 6 out of 10. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's kind of there. And really, really the only reason why you want to buy the movie is if you're a completionist, which I am. I am. So that is the only reason why I would recommend buying it. Is if you're a completionist and you want to watch this movie. Watch all the others because you kind of need to. Well, that's it for X-Men: The Last Stand. I mean, it can't get any worse, can it? Yeah.